Jesus sat at the table with his disciples. He shared the last Passover meal, the last meal that he'd eat before the cross. He spoke to his followers of his broken body, symbolized by the broken bread. He spoke of the spilt blood, symbolized by the cup of the wine poured out for them. The disciples didn't fully understand all he spoke of. As Jesus' disciples today, we can grasp the layers of his meaning. Listen, when we've gone to the upper room with Jesus, we will now know some things. One thing that we can know is a very clear warning and message of betrayal and fidelity to Jesus, simply seen in the contrast of Judas and Peter. Listen, they both walked with Jesus. Think about that. They both traveled with him. They both slept in the same encampments around him. They prayed with him. They listened to him. They ate with him. They watched and experienced his profound power and his miracles. One was changed. The other was not. Both failed. One would learn. One would learn that failure does not have to be final. But the other would find that unbelief is fatal. What we see is a warning of betrayal and fidelity to Christ. A second lesson from the upper room discourse is about power in the kingdom of God itself. You know, there's only one kind of a leadership according to Jesus Christ. One kind of leadership in the home. One kind of leadership in the workplace. One kind of leadership in national politics. One kind of leadership in the church. Listen, there's only one kind of leadership according to Christ in the kingdom. And that leadership is servant leadership. A third application for us today is to be reminded that Jesus never said that the mission of life and following him would be easy, but that he did affirm the objective completed will be worth it. We find the harder the mission, the more worthwhile the reward. And lastly, we're reminded that while the journey may be difficult, we will never need more than God can supply. Listen, Jesus knew the next day of his passion would be difficult for his disciples. Peter would be tested. Judas would betray him. All of the disciples would be pressed and abandon Christ. Yet in the whole, God supplied for them. He covered their provision in the death of the cross, and he gave them victory in the resurrection of Christ, and he provides for them into the new kingdom and into the new church age. Today, this morning, we've gone to the upper room with Christ. We've considered all that he taught. I want you to imagine and just think for just a moment about the reality that these men would become the very leaders of the New Testament church. Jesus was forming their hearts. He was shaping them as kingdom leaders and as followers of him as the Messiah. I wonder today, listen, have you gone to the upper room with Christ? Has your life been changed and transformed? Have you followed him? Have you found that he is everything? The harder the mission as we follow him, the more worthwhile the reward.